welcome to the Uncle's channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy and Game Boy Color game. Today focusing on a game called Chase HQ for the original Game Boy. Now, it's not to be confused with Chase HQ Secret Police for the Game Boy Color. That's a entirely different game based upon the same franchise here. But this game here is basically a older version of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. You're playing as a police officer, taking down some of the world's greatest criminal masterminds here, getting them arrested, thrown into jail, and once you catch all 5 criminals, you have officially beaten the game. Now, this game here is a port of an old arcade game from like the late 80s, and you can definitely tell it's from that era here, especially from just sort of the gameplay I'm showing on the screen, but also some of the lack of computer AI or some of the unfair things that computers can do in the game, as well as some of the repetitive nature of the tracks. But we're going to dive into all that and more as we journey through Chase HQ for the original Game Boy. Now, this particular game did get moved up in the queue a bit because Road Rage, make sure I get the number right here, Road Rage 810 requests I cover it sooner than later, so that's moved up in the queue. And what a fitting name for a game like Chase HQ Road Rage. I mean, just definitely fitting there. But if there's a game you want to see me cover sooner than later, let me know. Name of the game in the comments down below. And just like Chase HQ, I feel like I'm saying it a lot now, I'll move it right on up in the queue. Now I can start the videos off looking at the box art for the game first. And the box art pretty much summarizes the game perfectly. You have your police car view. You can tell from the dashboard or the console here that like definitely a late 80s, early 90s aesthetic. You have a Lamborghini in front of you, which is obviously a criminal mastermind. They can afford the best cars out there. And you have ongoing traffic of normal civilians like a regular old Chevy pickup truck. I mean, they're really playing in some of the stereotypes here. Now, the person you're seeing in the rearview mirror obviously looks like a normal fella, but when you play the actual game, you're going to notice pretty quickly your fella looks much more closely to resemble Clint Eastwood. We're going to get to that here in just a little bit. The only thing I'd say is not quite accurate about the cover here is the Lamborghini's actually trying to avoid the oncoming traffic. And one thing we're going to discuss in the actual game is the computer players or the criminals here. They can just crash through like every single car and they're not affected at all. Only you are affected by the civilian traffic. So that's not quite accurate, but I mean, honestly, they're just trying to portray basically an exciting police chase. They covered it well for the cover of the game. Now, when you load up here, the title screen, like I mentioned earlier, is going to show you your main characters, and both of them look like they are Clint Eastwood, but Clint Eastwood from like different eras of his lifetime. I mean, Clint Eastwood has been a movie star since he was like 20, and he's like 90 something now, and I would say there's like a 30s Clint Eastwood and a 40s Clint Eastwood as far as like his age goes on the screen. I don't know why they chose Clint Eastwood exactly. I guess because he's like your stereotypical cop, you know, outlaw, vigilante, bad guy, and that's what you're playing as in the game. Now, when you start it up, you do get to choose one of 2 control schemes. I chose the first control scheme because the second one had using the select button as a turbo boost, and it's very difficult for me to press the select button when playing a racing game. So I went with the normal controls with option number 1 here, and then we get into a little cutscene. It's like police radio, and Nancy is paging over, basically telling you which criminal you're going to need to capture for this particular mission. And for this one, it's going to be Ralph, the car thief. And I like how they actually like put his name as the blank blank blank, and it is for all the criminals here, because like when you put the word "the" in there, it signifies like a certain status, like Alexander the Great, or Alfred the Great, or William the Conqueror. And so you have Ralph, the car thief. So it's like what he's known at the police station is just simply a elite title, a car thief here. It says he's driving a small German sports car, but when you're going through the game here, all cars are going to look pretty much the same on the Game Boy graphics, and they put a giant arrow when you actually get to a Ralph to know to take him out. And so we begin our first stage here. Now, obviously, we are playing as the police car, and you have a few options at your disposal. You can press the up button to accelerate, the back button to decelerate or to brake. If you press the B button when you get to around 90 miles per hour, you can shift it from low gear into high gear, and you can get it all the way up to around 150, 160 miles per hour. And you can press the A button, you can use your turbo and get it all the way up to like 190 miles per hour, but you only get 3 turbos that you can use. So if you want to use them wisely, that is your option. Honestly, turbo really doesn't make a whole lot of difference in the game. I feel like you could go through the entire game and not use turbo and be pretty much fine, especially when we get to like actually capturing Ralph here in a second. But turbo, it feels nice to have it, but I really don't think it makes a whole lot of difference as far as winning the actual race here. Now, there is a clock at the top, and it's counting down from 60 to 0, and your goal is to approach Ralph or find Ralph before it reaches down to 0. And you're going to notice a number in the far right hand corner. It starts at 500 and slowly trickling its way down, and that is how far Ralph is ahead of you. And so your goal is to get to Ralph before the clock gets to 0. And so you're basically racing through here, trying to avoid the oncoming traffic, trying to stay on the road, and any obstacles are going to be in your way. Now, if you do end up hitting a car, it basically spins your car pretty much out of control here. As I was going through it, whenever I did hit a car, I pretty much guaranteed myself going into the ditch here, hitting the telephone pole, hitting a rock, and pretty much crashing my vehicle and losing several seconds to get back onto the road. I did read in the manual after I actually finished the game here, if you choose to push the steering wheel in the direction that you're sliding in, you can break out of the slide going off the road a little bit easier. I didn't know that, but it's not a really important mechanic. You can still easily finish the game even without that little bit. You're just going to get a little bit more annoyed because you're constantly wrecking your car here. Now, as far as the level that you're going to go through trying to find Ralph, pretty much every one of them follows the exact same template here. You start off on the highway, and then a little bit later you go into a tunnel. You come out of the tunnel, you're going to get to a intersection of going left or right. You're always going to go left except for one of the tracks. And then once you go left, you're going to go through basically a field of probably tumbleweeds, but it looks like little morel mushrooms here. And if you just blast through all of them, you lose a few miles per hour on each one, but it's not like a major deal. Just try to avoid as many as you can. If you end up hitting some, not the end of the world. The worst thing is going to be is when you actually hit a car. Don't worry about these little mushrooms that are going to pop up. Now, eventually you are going to approach Ralph here, and like I said, he's going to have a giant arrow pointing down to him. The clock is going to restart, and you have 60 seconds to basically capture Ralph. And the way to capture him is you have to basically hit his car enough times to inflict enough damage where his car is destroyed and get him out on the ground and sort of gun him down of sorts. Now you're going to notice there's a meter in the upper left hand corner. That is the damage of his vehicle, and basically you just sort of have to keep driving up on the side of it and just sort of slamming into him. Now the problem is here is even if you use your boost, it really doesn't make it any faster to get up on Ralph here. The game tends to have like a automatic speed up of Ralph and then a slow down of Ralph, and you basically just have to wait for the game to speed up or slow down in order for you to get to it. The most frustrating part about this though is when Ralph is going through oncoming traffic like you are, if you hit a car, it slides your car out of control. Very hard to get it back into the lane here. But when Ralph hits a car, nothing happens. Ralph can just sort of journey through these cars, or you get beside Ralph and you try to slam into him, to slam into the other car. He just simply goes through it, or nothing happens there. And so there is a little bit of frustration as far as like realism here, trying to actually force Ralph to crash, or basically just simply being on even ground as Ralph. However, the game is not difficult enough to really get you frustrated about this because you're probably going to win the battle anyway. But if the game was a little bit harder and the mechanics were still this way, I feel like it would frustrate you a good bit more. But like I said, eventually his car does catch on fire. You get him out, you gun him down, and then you have a little cutscene that says, "Well done, you have rid the streets of more vermin." And I mean, you can just hear Clint Eastwood saying a line similar to that, or being in a movie with a line like that. And then mission number 2 starts up here. Nancy calls in again, says that Carlos, the jewel thief, is on the run. He's driving an '89 German sports car, which once again looks just like every other car in the game. And then you're basically tossed into another course with the exact same rule set, pretty much the exact same overall graphics here, or overall background. They do rotate back and forth a little bit as far as like a cityscape, or maybe like a rocks in the background, but they also repeat these a lot at the same time, so it's not really a lot of variety as you're going through here, but it follows the same template: highway, tunnel, intersection, take a left, morel mushrooms or tumbleweeds, and then you're going to approach Carlos here. Exactly the same, except for at the very end when you take Carlos out, you actually get him down on the ground instead of just simply having like sort of a standoff here in the streets. Then you have number 3 here, which is going to be Andrew. He is an industrial spy you're taking out. The exact same again, no difference. I really think they just simply carbon copied every track over and just basically play the same mission every single time. Really nothing exciting or new about Andrew. Number 4 is Antonio, the foreign terrorist. And when you go through here, the only difference is you're going to take a right at the intersection. But once you take the right, you're still going to go through the morel mushroom forest. So really no ultimate change. However, when you do get him out of the car, there is no criminal. Antonio, the foreign terrorist, I think just simply disappears. And so do we really catch Antonio? I don't think we did, even though it said we rid the streets of more vermin. I don't think we actually took Antonio out here. I think he simply disappeared into another country. Then number 5 says Tyrone, the most wanted criminal in the world, or just simply a wanted criminal. And basically we're back to the left here on the the intersection. Otherwise, the exact same course. And then we get the closing of the game here, and it says we are awarded, make sure I say it right, we are awarded the Medal of Valor for action above and beyond the Call of Duty you are a perfect chaser, and then you get no credits in the game, but you have officially finished the game up. And so this game here, it is a overall, you know, it's got its charm, it's got its fun. I like police chasing games, but the game does have several issues throughout. The repetitiveness of it, every course is pretty much exactly the same. The graphics in the background, exactly the same. The templates are exactly the same. The cars all look almost the same. You might as well just simply play the same mission 5 times over with really no change in the storyline except for just simply inputting names that Nancy is talking about here. The AI, as far as like not being able to actually crash the enemy's car into other cars, that is a little bit annoying, but at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, it's not going to frustrate you to the point because the game is still pretty easy as an overall. I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for games like this because I enjoy Need for Speed Hot Pursuit so much as a kid, and it is very akin to that, but at the same time, there's just so much missing from the bells and whistles, and I know it's a port of an arcade game, and I know it's 1990, I know it's on the Game Boy, but there are just simply enough flaws in the game as far as like the repetitive nature that it can't achieve a real high score, even though you could enjoy or could still find fun in this game. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Not the worst game, but certainly a little bit below average as a whole here. Now in 2 weeks, we are going to do Chase HQ Super or Secret Police. And so we're going to compare the 2 individual games because I played them back to back. And so it was going to be, you know, pretty fresh on my memory exactly how the film is going to be. You're actually going to notice the exact same outfit in the video because as soon as I hit stop on this video, I'm going to start the filming on Chase HQ Secret Police. And so heads up, it is a better game. Not by a lot, but it is a better game than this one here. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above and go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.